The grinning visitor, the worst trip of my life. I was about 5 years old when I first encountered Mr. Widemouth. My family had just moved to a quiet little town, and I'd fallen ill shortly after. Confined to my bed, I spent most of my days alone, staring at the ceiling or out the window at the thick woods surrounding our home. One dreary afternoon, as rain pattered against the glass, I heard a giggle. Startled, I turned my head. Sitting cross-legged at the foot of my bed was a small, gray creature. It resembled a stuffed animal, but its features were unsettlingly alive. Wide eyes that didn't blink, a toothy grin stretched impossibly far. "Hi," it said, in a voice that sounded friendly but somehow felt wrong. "I'm Mr. Widemouth." I froze. I wasn't scared at first. He looked odd, but not threatening. "Where did you come from?" I asked. "I'm your new friend," he replied, his smile widening. "I came to keep you company." Mr. Widemouth showed up every day after that, always cheerful, always eager to play. But his games were different. One day, he told me about a special jump he wanted me to try. "There's a big trampoline in the woods," he said, gesturing to the window. "If you jump from the second-floor window, you'll bounce so high you'll touch the clouds." I looked out the window. All I saw were the trees swaying in the wind, no trampoline in sight. "I can't," I whispered. Mr. Widemouth's grin faltered for just a moment. His voice dropped an octave. "Don't you trust me?" I shook my head, unsure of what to say. He just laughed, his sharp teeth glinting in the dim light. As the days passed, his suggestions became darker. He found a small box and the attic crusty blades and broken glass inside. "Let's play hide and seek with these," he said, tilting his head. I refused, but he didn't get angry. He just stared at me with those unblinking eyes, his grin ever present, as though he was waiting for me to change my mind. One night, I woke to the sound of tapping. Mr. Widemouth stood by the window, his long fingers drumming against the glass. "It's time," he whispered. The next morning, I told my parents about Mr. Widemouth. They brushed it off, saying it was just a fever dream, but I knew better. I never saw him again after that day, but the woods always felt darker, heavier, as if something was watching from the shadows. Years later, when I was old enough to investigate on my own, I learned about the children who had disappeared from our town, always near the woods, always without a trace. I try not to think about what would have happened if I had jumped.